underway in just about a minute or so. But just to say what I do at the beginning of every session, in a moment, you're going to see a little notification pop up. We're now live streaming these sessions to YouTube, so you can always go back there in between sessions to replay them. But it's only my camera that's being put on there. I'm spotlighted, so you're really welcome to have your webcams on. You won't be shown in the stream. And there it is. Cool. How are we? Yeah, we're at about past. Cool. Let's get going. So for those of you who have never joined a mindfulness session before with us, in fact, let's have a look. How many people have never, this is their first time here? Maybe a hand up or a virtual hand up. Yeah, a few people. Cool, nice. Cool, thank you guys. It's just nice to get an idea, just a bit of a read. Cool. So we run these sessions every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at this time. And the reason that we do it is because, you know, we're a platform all about community and connection, as well as productivity and well-being. And these mindfulness sessions that we run are primarily because we see the interdependent nature of these two aspects of our experience as students. We understand that our well-being affects productivity and productivity affects our well-being. So many of us who here are studying, we're trying to get things done. We have specific goals that we're trying to achieve, and that might be short-term, that may be long-term. But if we're not looking after ourselves along the way, if we're not tuning into our experience, then it can become increasingly challenging. So mindfulness and mindfulness meditation are really helpful things that we can learn and practice that give us new skills with which we can deal with the challenges that come our way as students. So I'm in the UK right now. I teach mindfulness here to organizations and to students in different universities, and I run most of the sessions here as well. And I love doing it. Today's, the theme, I suppose, of today's sessions is around transcending stress. So let's do another hands up. Has anyone in the last month at any point felt a little bit of stress that's kind of come on as a result of just life, any aspect of life? Has anyone found some stress recently? I'm going to put my hand up, that's for sure. Anyone else? Bunch of people. Yeah, it's a pretty common life experience. So sometimes stress can be quite helpful in a sense when it's a low level and we're able to be in tune with it and learn from it. Stress can sometimes help us perform. And in fact, that is to some extent what our flight and fight response is. We are able to, when the time requires it, perform as a result of our body going into a stress response. We can have our heart beat a little bit faster. For example, we can have the food, the blood come out of the belly and go to the extremities when we need to flee, when we need to run away, for example, if we were under some kind of physical threat. That's really helpful. That allows us to survive. But sometimes stress can take us a little bit too far, particularly when it is to do with situations that we come across that aren't life or death. It's about performing, maybe to submit an essay or to sit an exam. A little bit of stress kind of does wake us up, gets us focused. That can be really helpful. But if we live in this, what we call chronic or long-term stress, then it's not great for our health. But it also tends to not make us feel very good either. So it can be really helpful to learn certain ways of working with that stress and making the most of it. So stress can present itself in all kinds of different ways, all kinds of subtle ways, all kinds of more obvious ways, and it is a little bit different for each individual. So the meditation practice that we're going to do today together is about bringing our attention into our focus into our bodies and become really familiar with how our body is feeling. It's really helpful to practice mindfulness regularly, so we really develop that close relationship to, for example, our bodily sensations. So then at those times when we need it, it's there and ready and available for us. It's a skill like anything else. We practice it regularly, repeatedly, and then when we do come to those higher stress situations, We're like, yeah, okay, I know what my body feels like when I'm in stress, and I'm used to that now. I can be with that, and that's okay. And a key skill within mindfulness is, instead of reacting like we often do when stressed or frustrated by either ignoring it, pretending it's not there, or kind of like fighting against it and really trying to conquer it, this is a third and alternative way whereby we just check in with the situation. Just notice what's coming up. How is our body responding? What can we learn from this, and how then can we wisely respond? That is the way in which we approach situations in a mindful manner. And we do so with attitudes of patience, curiosity, kindness. Now, these are things that do take a little bit of time to develop, and there's no place within this practice to judge ourselves for not getting it right straight away or for not being perfect. We are always works in progress. Everything is always just the next step. So we're just looking for those little incremental gains. So even if you've never practiced meditation or mindfulness before, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to guide you through this. We'll be doing it for about 15 minutes, and whatever your experience is your experience, and that's okay. There's no expectation that you should be doing this and everything should feel wonderful and your mind is free of thoughts or whatever other misconceptions there are out there about mindfulness. If you notice yourself getting frustrated, that's okay. There can be frustration. We create space for that. But what I do always say is that if at any point it does feel too much, a little bit overwhelming, because sometimes, you know, putting to one side all the distractions and just being with our present moment experience can sometimes, if we're struggling, be a little bit much. Then always know that you have that choice to maybe say, you know what, right now, mindfulness isn't the right opportunity. It's not the right time for me to be practicing this. Or maybe you just need to open your eyes and focus your attention elsewhere, somewhere it's going to feel a bit more comfortable. Is that good, guys? Are we on board? Nice. Cool. All right. So as always, those who join regularly know that I always like to begin a meditation practice just by giving our bodies a little stretch. As I said, the links between the mind and the body are huge. They are interconnected. So just allow the body to stretch out, maybe gently massage a part of the body that would appreciate that. And just notice how that feels as you stretch. What's the response from the body? How does the mind react? And even now, even with this part of the practice, can we bring some patience, some curiosity, some interest into how this feels, rather than pushing ourselves and really trying to force the stretch? And then when you're ready, you can just allow the body to just gently return to stillness as you just sit here in the chair. And then you can, if it feels comfortable for you to do so, just allow the eyes to gradually close shut. It's just a little indication to the mind, to the body, that we're turning our focus inward. And just spend the next few seconds just finding a way of sitting that's going to feel comfortable, whatever that means for you. But remembering that we are looking to embody a posture that encourages a sense of alertness, of awakeness. This isn't a practice about falling asleep, it's a practice about falling awake. We're balancing that comfort, but also that alertness. And just getting used to that felt sensation of just sitting here. There's nothing that actually needs to be done right now. No expectation, just sitting. And what we're going to do for this practice is we're just going to take our attention and place it on different parts of the body. We're going to scan our attention through our body, from our feet up to our heads and out to our fingertips, and just be curious as to how it feels in each part of the body as we work through it, with no expectation that anything needs to feel any particular way. This is a practice in awareness. So let's begin by taking our attention and bringing it down into the legs and into the feet and out into the toes. And just noticing how it feels right now in the toes. Maybe having a sense of each individual toe and the spaces between the toes. Expanding that awareness to include both feet now. Maybe noticing the touch of the feet against the floor, for example. The tightness of socks or shoes. Or maybe internally you notice a little numbness or vibration. Maybe there's even a sense of the bones and the ligaments and the joints that are inside. And then coming up and noticing how it feels in the ankles, the inside and the outside of the joint. And up into the lower legs, the shin bone on the front and the muscle around the back. Maybe if you notice there's any sense of touch against another surface or material. And then up into the knees, these big and complex joints that keep us moving. Maybe being aware of the kneecaps quite hard on the front and the softer, fleshier parts underneath. Maybe there's even a sense of spaciousness within this joint, of the ball and the socket. And coming up now into the upper legs. These really big and powerful muscles that we have here that take us around. Don't necessarily always appreciate. So just having a sense of these muscles, how they feel in this moment. And then up into the pelvis and the sit bones. Just allowing the mind to rest here. And just a reminder that if at any point, any part of the body or any aspect of the experience feels quite uncomfortable, just maybe for a moment allowing yourself to be with that discomfort and seeing what you can notice. And if it's possible to be with it, just notice how that unfolds. Or if you wish to make a minor adjustment to your posture or how you're sitting, then just doing so mindfully, slowly, noticing how the sensations change. And also remembering that if you wish to take your attention elsewhere, then that's always available to you as well. As we bring the focus of our attention up again into our bellies, the abdomen, maybe having a sense of the belly inflating as we breathe in and falling back again as we breathe out. And the touch of clothes getting tighter and more relaxed as we breathe. Maybe noticing if there's any tightness or tension there. If we find that, we don't need to change anything straight away. Sometimes we notice just the awareness of tension. Just allows it to unravel all by itself. As we come up now and we focus on the chest, maybe the rise and fall of the chest as we breathe. An awareness of the air filling the lungs. And then moving back down and around to the lower back. Sometimes a place where we can feel some muscular tension. And if that's the case for you, maybe just seeing how it feels to be with these sensations, with a sense of patience and curiosity. Just tuning into how it feels right now. As you move into the upper back, maybe there's a gentle rocking motion as you breathe. The pressure against the chair that you may have behind you supporting the back. Or anything else that there is for you to notice. And as we do these practices, sometimes we notice that other emotions come along for the ride. Maybe there is calmness, peace, but maybe also there's a sense of impatience or frustration. Maybe there are thoughts of the next thing that needs to be done today, or something that didn't go so well from earlier. So just knowing that if anything like this is arising for you, just knowing this is okay, this is very normal, this is what happens. And each time that your mind gets distracted, you just bring it back again into the body. As we come up and into the arms and down into the hands and the fingers, and just noticing how the fingers feel in this moment. Maybe the touch against each other or another surface or part of the body. The spaces between the fingers. And now the hands as a whole, the backs of the hands, the palms of the hands. And up into the wrists. And into the lower arms. Awareness of any sensations on the surface of the skin. Maybe air passing by. But also maybe sensations that are coming from deeper inside. Tingling, vibration, numbness. Or maybe nothing much at all. So we move on to the elbows. The pointier, bonier outer and the fleshier inside. And then up into the upper arms. These strong muscles that help us do so much that we need to do on a daily basis. And up into the shoulders. Maybe a sense of the arms hanging down from the shoulders and being held in place. As we come up to the collarbone and to the throat, and around to the neck as well. Also a place there we can sometimes find tightness of the muscles. Maybe allowing, if you notice the posture isn't quite how you had intended it to be, maybe just tuning into that, maybe tucking in the chin slightly to allow the spine to be long, if that feels helpful. And then noticing any sensations in the skull, around the head. Maybe seeing if it's possible to notice the hairs growing out of the skull. Or maybe a breeze blowing past the hair. And then attention on the forehead. Noticing if there's any tension there. Sometimes we really notice stress in the forehead. And then down to the eyebrows and the eyes, the eyelids, the cheekbones and the cheeks. Into the ears, the outer ears, the inner ears. And back to the front of the nose. And inside the nose, around the nostrils. Noticing how it feels in the upper lip and the lower lip. And even inside the mouth. Maybe there's an awareness of the position of the tongue, of the teeth and the gums. Noticing if the mouth feels quite dry, quite wet. And then just allowing our attention to expand fully, to cover the body as a whole now. We've taken our attention through piece by piece of the body, and now we just hold our whole body with a sense of spacious awareness, of sitting here, breathing as a whole. Noticing if there's any judgment or criticism, or any expectation that's arisen, and just noticing it. Returning the mind again, once again, just to how the body feels as it sits here. Nothing that it needs to do right now, nothing it needs to achieve, just to notice how it feels to breathe. So with the sound of the bell, we come towards the end of our practice. We can just slowly start to bring a little bit of movement into the body, just like how we began, a gentle stretch or massage. And as best you can, just maintaining this thread of moment by moment awareness in our bodies. Practice is over, but it doesn't mean that we can't continue a sense of mindful awareness into the next thing that we do, into this next and last section of this session. If the eyes are closed, you're welcome to open them back up again. Join the faces up on screen. Maybe send out some good, happy vibes to everyone who shared the practice with you. And then we have the chat box that's open, and you're able to select my name, Solomon, and just let me know how that was for you. We have just a couple of minutes. After this, you guys, for those of you who don't know, we have an open mic session, so you can unmute yourselves and chat and connect. But we have just a few minutes. If you want to let me know just your name and where in the world you are, and just let me know, what did you notice during that practice, or how has it made you feel? Maybe something I said during the introduction around working with stress, maybe something there resonated with you, you want to let me know about, and I'll read a few of these out. If you have any questions, you're really welcome to ask them as well. And in the time we have available, I can answer them. But just let me know, what did you notice in the body? Did you get really quite distracted? And how was that for you? And what happened? What did you notice each time you brought it back? Any emotions? Any relaxation? Any frustration? Let's have a look. Shruti says, grateful to be here. My forehead was so heavy. Thank you. Thank you, Shruti. I'm grateful that you were here too. So thank you. It's really interesting how sometimes all we need to do is pass our attention through the body for a few moments, and we notice, there's a lot of heaviness in my forehead. How would it be to just let that tension go for a moment? Okay, someone says, my thoughts were sometimes flying around to other stuff in the middle of the practice, but I did get to bring myself back to the state of thought I wanted to put myself in. Is this normal? And thank you. Absolutely normal. Our minds are designed to think. That is the point of our mind. So just like our ears are designed to hear, our tongues are designed to taste. It is what they do. So a thinking mind is not a problem. It's just observing that thinking mind and bringing it back each time. So the fact that you noticed that your mind was thinking shows a really good level of awareness. Because sometimes we just run on automatic in the thought without even realizing that we're thinking it. So this is a practice of awareness. So it sounds like you've got it. Alex says it was very calming. Thank you. Victor says, from Guatemala, my fingers and toes were cold. I understood that it was going to be like this the whole practice, so I accepted it rather than resisted it. And in the last bit, I noticed that my fingers' temperature became sort of normal. Thank you. Interesting. Thank you, Victor. Again, really good noticing. And really lovely way of bringing about that mindful attitude of acceptance rather than resisting. And interestingly, and it won't necessarily always be this way, but noticing how that experience changed over time. And actually by accepting that was how it was, actually the temperature kind of balanced out overall. Really interesting. Abdul in Dubai, this was my first session and I really loved it. I noticed how stressed I was and how relieved I felt after we were done. Super, I'm really glad you joined us. Really glad, and I'm really happy that was your experience. Palessa says, this practice made me really realize how I approach emotions or thoughts I don't understand with panic and stress. And after the practice, I feel a lot more calm. Great noticing. This is what it's all about, just realizing our relationship to thoughts and emotions and how we react and finding a new way to be with them. Hannibal says, I've been missing some sessions, I noticed, Hannibal, because of the busy schedule, concerts and hobbies, but it's good to be back. I've been feeling overstressed and overloaded. All my body felt tense and not right. Concentrating on my body's different parts made them vibrate and tickle, but in a good way. I managed to empty my heart and I feel relieved. Thank you a lot again. Beautiful. Thank you, Hannibal. Lovely to have you back. Joying, sorry, I don't know the name there, says I almost fell asleep. And yeah, in case you were wondering, that's entirely normal too. That's absolutely fine. So often through a mindfulness practice, we actually can switch systems that we're operating on in our nervous system. We shift from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. So it becomes less activated and it becomes into a more restful state. And so often if we're tired already, we may not even recognize that we're tired, but when we switch into that more relaxed state, sleepiness can come about. That's not a problem. It's again just about noticing and saying, okay, I'm a little bit tired at the moment. What does that mean? I can maybe, how does that help me? How can that information help me? Maybe it means I can go take a 20-minute power nap or try and get to bed a little bit earlier tonight. Someone says, I feel really light after this session. Thank you so much. Joying says, again, it's almost 2 a.m. in Thailand. Oh, well, I'm not surprised you're tired. There we go. That makes sense. It's 2 a.m. I appreciate your teaching. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I appreciate you being here. Kiana says, are the daily sessions going to happen? I love that you've asked that question, because I have been saying that we are at least going to trial it. I'm just checking my calendar, because we are going to trial it next week. Yeah, that's a good point. We should tell people about that. That's a great reminder. Yes, next week we're going to trial daily sessions. They're going to be a little bit earlier, because I'm aware that quite a few people, this is quite, yeah, as we just saw, Thailand, 2 a.m. So we're going to get the word out, and you will find out. But they're going to be around, about how much? 6.5 hours earlier than now. I think we're going to do it at 1 p.m. UK time. We'll still carry on these three sessions that we normally run, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at this time, but we're also going to run a week of sessions during a little bit earlier, and see how that goes. So thanks for the reminder. I'm going to speak to the people who I need to speak to find out if we can make sure people know that that's happening. Enjoying says it's so good, feeling happy before bed. Beautiful. Isadora says, hi Solomon, I'm Izzy from Chile. I noticed that my heart rate was so fast and I tried to calm down a bit. These sessions always help a lot. Thank you so much. It's good to be back. So good to have you back. And again, great noticing. Heart rate. Sometimes we don't know why particular things are happening in our experience. There's just a heart rate going, and actually we sometimes don't need to get too stuck in the head and ask ourselves, oh, what's going on? Why is this tension? Why am I feeling this way? Actually, sometimes those questions can encourage that cycle of stress to continue or worsen, sometimes. So what we're learning here is a different way of being with the experience and just noticing. And I'm really happy to hear that it calmed down. A couple more. Shruti says, sometimes in life we don't get what we want despite working hard for it. How do we not be hard on ourselves in those moments, or let the self-doubts not to take over? How do we handle ourselves? That is such a great question. Yeah, sometimes we don't get what we want despite working hard. How do we not be hard on ourselves? So this goes back a little bit to what I said at the beginning. So mindfulness is a practice around cultivating awareness and an attitude, a set of attitudes that allow us to be kinder for ourselves. So my answer is kind of, how do we learn how to not be so hard on ourselves? We need to repeatedly practice it, because this is a skill like anything else, right? So just if you were to learn a language, if you were to learn an instrument, it takes time to develop that skill. This is a skill like anything else. We need to repeatedly tune into our experience, notice what's going on, and practice how it is to not beat ourselves up. It takes some time, but I really encourage everyone to stick with it a little bit if it feels right for you, because it's something that I found has been really helpful in my life, and that's why I'm so passionate about teaching it. So yeah, I hope you keep coming. Okay, Verena says, it's got a little bit of information about mindfulness and some practices, and it has the times and links for these sessions. So all you need to do is go on to the website, StudyStream.live, click on the mindfulness, and you can sign up there. You can also find us on the Discord channel there too. Oh, yes. Oh, Javier, not Javier, Javier. Silent J, I feel very relaxed. My brain isn't stressed to all of this physics work. Thank you so much. Beautiful. Thank you. Alex says, before the session, I felt like the world is a bit too loud, but during the meditation, it became really quiet and calming, and it made me relax. Thank you for this. Thank you. And Kiana says Wi-Fi thing again. Yeah, I know. I froze for a minute, didn't I? I know. God, we're going to have such a party and a celebration when my new Wi-Fi box arrives in a couple of weeks, aren't we? How are we going to, guys, how are we going to recognize that moment? It's going to be huge. Let's plan something as a community to celebrate that occasion. Okay, let's all get cupcakes. Yeah, Abdul says cupcakes. Okay, I'll let you know when we have it, and everyone can bring a sweet treat to celebrate my new Wi-Fi box. It's a plan. All right, I think we're a little bit over time. Rena says invite the seagulls as well. Yeah, I could do that. That would be nice. They will steal all of my cupcakes, though. They are vicious. Okay, one last question, just because it's come in and I wanted to speak to it. Yvonne says, do you mind talking a little about how to stop doubting yourself when it comes to exams, please? I've been avoiding school for 2 weeks now because I'm scared. It's a good question. It's a tough question. Talking about how to stop doubting yourself. So there are many different ways, I suppose, to come at this. I think I want to be quite considered around it. I think so one of the things that I come back to as a central practice within mindfulness is around one of the central teachings is around impermanence. It's the idea that every aspect of an experience, while at the time feels really solid and permanent and real, it does pass. And through a mindfulness practice, we can know that not just in theory, but in practice as well. We can tune into our experience and we notice how, and maybe it's pain in the toe in that moment. It feels like it's going to last forever and it's really hurtful. And then we tune into it and we notice, oh, actually it only lasted like 10 seconds and it's okay. And actually what I thought was pain, if I really tune into it, it's just, it's some vibrations, it's some tinglings, and we can develop a different relationship to it. And this transient nature to our experience, we can understand through sensations, through emotions, and thoughts as well. All these different aspects of experience, at some point they come into existence, they hang around for a period of time, and then they leave. So by practicing mindfulness, we are actually tuning into this developing moment by moment in real time. So we have a real lived experience of this. So in terms of doubting yourself, again, it's taking this approach of no needing to, sometimes we add layers of, we have pain, we experience pain, but then we add the layers of suffering on top of the pain. So it's not that we can never experience pain in life, it's just that we can stop it from proliferating and becoming increasing levels of suffering. So if you are judging yourself harshly and you're frustrated because you are doubting yourself, so let's just take a look at that level. There's some doubt there. That's okay. We can notice that. Do you always doubt yourself, or are there sometimes times when you're not quite so harsh on yourself? And how does that feel? And how does it feel to notice that these times go past, these different emotions and mood states and thoughts pass by? And becoming increasingly familiar with this wave-like motion of our experience, of the thought, of the judgment, it comes and it goes. We sometimes, when it next comes along, we don't take it quite so seriously next time. Because it's a sense of, oh, hi, judgmental thought, you're back again. Gotcha. You know what? I don't have to accept that as a fact. It doesn't mean that it's true. It's just something that's popped up in my mind for whatever reason. And we can treat aspects of our experience a lot lighter. There's so much to say about this, and what I really want to do with this community is create smaller groups where we can really have a discussion and a back and forth. It's really difficult to just speak to a question which has so much in it, but I'd really like to know more about your experience to be able to say more. But thank you for the question. I hope that in some way helped. Kiana says, it happens because we think we may not be enough. We need to remind ourselves that we will love ourselves in any situation. Nothing bad's going to happen. Yeah, I like that. This sense of not being enough is a pretty big one for many of us, huh? Like, and particularly when we're students, because we are, there can be a lot of pressure from various people, and that gets internalized. And then there's a sense of, unless I do X, Y, and Z, I'm not good enough. And we make that really about our own personal core identity rather than just about passing an exam or getting a good grade. So yeah, thank you, Kiana. Okay, Natasha says, your point on impermanence, poignant, thank you. Counting down to the new Wi-Fi party. Oh no, we're actually going to have this party, aren't we? I'm going to have to get thinking about that. And Yvonne says, thank you so much. Okay, thank you, everybody. Apologies to those of you who are just like, so get off. Let's have this open mic session. Apologies. Yeah, thank you, everybody, for a lovely mindfulness session. I've said it a million times when we run these sessions. I'm not going to do that again. I'm just going to leave you guys to hang out. Yeah, that's everything. I will see you guys back again soon. Enjoy hanging out. And yeah, let's make some cupcakes. All right, guys. Bye, everyone. Bye. Bye. Cheers.